Welcome to Gemini School of Astrology's Advanced Parashara and Nadi Astrology class. In this video, we are going to see about the longevity. So here, there are many things that we need to see in the longevity. Every horoscope will have a birth, life, and death. We are going to see about the death related things. So here, the first and the foremost thing is the prasanna and the family horoscope are the most important thing in the longevity. So even though there are many rules and I mean the mathematical things given for the prediction of the death, there is a fear in everyone to touch this topic because everyone has the will to live. But if we are able to predict the death, then it will be a tragedy to him. And also, there are many things that need to be noticed for calculating the longevity of a person. So here, the Jamakol Prasanna plays an important role in the prediction of the longevity of the person or the death of a person. Next is the family horoscope. Here, the family horoscope will indicate the person also indicate the person's life. So, uh, the first and the foremost is the self horoscope. So there should be some weaknesses. Then the prasanna will indicate that. Then the family horoscope will clearly give the conditions where the death of a person will be decided. Here, the Jamakol prasanna will complete your 70% of the result and will let you know whether he will live or have a disease or he will prevail with the disease or die. In this, the Jamakol Prasanna gives perfect results. Next is the family horoscope. Why? Why we should see the family horoscope? Because the family horoscope, each of the horoscope in the family will influence over the other because they all live together and they all depend on each other. For example, if a person dies, then the person is not the native is not the person who loses something. If we say more, uh, the person is into a moksha state. So there is no loss for that particular person. But his wife is going to lose his husband, the children are going to lose his father, and the workers who worked under him is going to lose their boss, and the co-workers will lose their friends. But the native is going to rest in peace. So there is no loss for the native. So these losses and all will be indicated by the uh, horoscope of each of the family members. So somehow we can say that the wife is going to lose her husband and going to um, have a tough period in her life, both economically and both morally, and the children are also going to experience the same. So this will be indicated by the family horoscope. There are two things that indicate the death. One is the self horoscope and the other is the family horoscope. So in this lesson, we are going to see the prediction of the death or the longevity of a person using a step-by-step method. So here the first step is the Jamakol Prasanna. Here, when a person is approaching and asking a question related to the longevity of a native, then the Jamakol Prasanna should be casted. In the Jamakol Prasanna, if the significating planet or Bhava is in Kavipu or Mandi or the Kavipu is in the Udayam or Udayadibadi is in the Kavipu and the Padahadibadi is in the connection with the Udayam. So, for example, self for the self, Udayam is in the fourth bhava, and the horoscope, I mean the both fourth bhava can be set as the. So I will repeat the Jamakol Prasanna conditions once again. If the significating planet or bhava is in Kavipu, that is the if the question is asked for the native, then it is the Udaya. And if the question is asked for the father, it is the ninth bhava and the sun. If the question is asked for the mother, then it is the fourth bhava and the moon. So if the significating planet or bhava is in Kavipu, then next one is are the Mahandi in that particular significating bhava or Udayam, and the Udayadipadi in Kavipu or the Padakadipadi is in connection with the Udayam, or for the self it is Udayam, for the father it is ninth bhava, and the mother it is fourth bhava. So these are the conditions where the prasanna will indicate the death. So we have seen this in the previous class itself, in the Jamakol Prasanna class. So this will almost bring your result to 70% closer to the uh, predicting the death. Next is the self horoscope. We should not check the horoscope for death always. The prasanna, we should not check the horoscope for the death at every time. Only when the prasanna or the dasha or the transit will indicate the death. Then only we should check the longevity of a person. Next is the family horoscope. Next is the family horoscope. So the family horoscope, who has the loss? The person around them will have the loss. So if a son approaches, or if a if a father approaches or a husband approaches, then we should see which bhava is affected, which bhava is weak, whether he is going to lose the support of that bhava, whether he is going to lose the support of a planet. So that things and all we should check in the family horoscope, and then we should be able to predict the death of a particular person. So if a son approaches us for the uh, father's health or longevity, then in that case, the son, the fourth bhava should be, sorry, ninth bhava should be strong, and the sun should be in a good position, and the fourth bhava should also be in the good position and good connections. So in that case, the longevity will be long. If there are any fault in that, and if there is a weak connection for the sun, ninth lord and the bhava, then it will be indicated in the sun's horoscope. And similarly, for the in the mother's horoscope, it will show in the uh, Mars, seventh bhava and seventh bhava lord. So like that, we should check all the family horoscope. Next is the Dasha Bhukti. Even the birth horoscope is strong. The Dasha might lead to the death. If the Even though the self horoscope, the uh, person might have a strong uh, connection. That is very good connection for the Lagna, Lagnadipati and the Jivakara. So in that case, the Dasha Bhukti at some time will lead to the death. And next is the transit. The transit along with the Dasha will take a person to the death. So at a particular time, few of the transits might make the person to lead to the death. And the last and the final thing is that certain actions. So the certain actions done will lead to the death. That is, not only the actions, certain happenings will also lead to the death. So here, this is this is the major thing because this cannot be predicted directly using a horoscope. The action due to death can be uh, seen in a particular way. That is, if a child is born in a family and it has Saturn and a person, the native, has a newborn child and he has Saturn in connection with the fifth bhava and the Saturn dasha itself is happening and the child may die at the birth, but if the child may survive or escape the death and live. If this happens, the Saturn will. So here we can consider that the Saturn itself is the lord of the fifth bhava, and the Saturn dasha itself is happening. The child might die at the birth, or the child will live. If the child lives, then it will affect the grandfather, or it will affect the father's elder brother, or it might affect the father itself. If there are no grandfather and elder brother to the father, then it will affect the native itself. So, no Dasha Bhukti will indicate if the Saturn in the fifth bhava or if the Saturn is in the fifth bhava and the death happens after the marriage. So, if the Saturn is in the seventh bhava and the Dasha Bhukti is happening, then in that case the death might happen after the marriage. If the fourth lord is in the eighth or the 12th house or the vice versa, then the death might happen or the Padakadipati in the fourth bhava will give losses, but of the so if the lord of the fourth is in the eighth and the 12th house or the vice versa or the Padakadipati in the fourth house will give the house, but after entering that house, there will be losses in the profession, business, or the life too. So there will be, so we should check this when the client asks us for the suggestion for the big events in the life, like marriage, uh, a new house, buying a new car, buying a new building as own house, or whether buying or building a own house, or moving out for a work, or moving on a trip, that is a long trip. So in these cases, they should consult an astrologer and should look into the prasanna and say that this will lead to the loss of the life. This is indicated by the prasanna as well as the horoscope. So whenever a person decides to do or decides to plan a big event in the life, they should check whether they are there will be any obstructions or loss due to this big events like marriage, buying a land, buying a house, uh, birth of a child, and what we can say is moving into a new place or moving into the own house. So these things and all should be decided uh, based on the horoscope and prasanna. How to say a horoscope has a good longevity? So here, the eighth lord exalted, or in the own house, or in an auspicious planet in the eighth house, says good for the longevity. So all of them says that these conditions are the good for longevity, but this is a wrong perception. The first bhava will indicate the health, habit, lifestyle, and of the native. So, if the first bhava is weak or made weak by the eighth bhava, then it will be it will be affecting the longevity of the person. And the second is that if any auspicious planet in the eighth bhava or eighth lord in its own house will definitely affect the first bhava. This is not the right approach. Then the first bhavadipati and Jivakaraka will decide the longevity of a native. Who are all the affecting these three factors are the one affecting the longevity? That is, this will support but not this will support but it will not be the death. That is the fourth bhava. So here the first lord, first Jivakaraha, and so here 4, 8, 12, and the Padaka lord are the uh, factors that affect the longevity. And this fourth alone will not indicate the death, but it will support the death related things. So this will also indicate the death or death, but it will not give the death, or the bhava is not for the longevity. It will influence, but it is not for the longevity. If the dasha bhukti happens from the sixth bhava or the dasha is in connection with the sixth bhava, then there will be disease, loan, and litigation. Even if the disease comes, he will be able to recover from the disease through treatment or the outpatient or being in diet. The death is only indicated by the death is only indicated by the eighth and the 12th bhava lords. The 12th bhava will indicate the death, like going into the coma, being in hospital for the long time, death without any pain. The 8th bhava will indicate the death due to the pain and suffering. The 8th and the 12th bhava and the Padaha Lord are the major factors in the death. If the Padaha Lord is in the connection with the 8th and the 12th house, or, or the Lord, then this will lead to the death of the native. Next, we should not decide that the person will have a good longevity since he has a good or auspicious planet in the 8th house. That will be totally wrong. Even the Even the bhava of the auspicious planet in the eighth house, may lead to the death. There is a positive thing here. If the Jupiter is so, if the Jupiter is aspecting the eighth bhava, then there will be a good death without any pain, humiliation, or tragedy. If the Jupiter is aspecting the eighth bhava from the 12th, second, and the fourth bhava, then this will happen. Also, the Venus, the waxing moon, Mercury aspects the eighth bhava from the second bhava will also give a peaceful death. But for the Jupiter, it will be the 12th, second, and the fourth bhava. That is the 1, 5, sorry, 5, 9, and the seventh aspect. The auspicious planet should conjunct with the long, that is natural benefic, without the Padaha or the eighth lord. This horoscope will get a death very soon. That is, the auspicious planet should conjunct with the Lagna, that is the natural benefic, without the Padaha or the eighth lord. This horoscope will not have a death very soon. Similarly, the first Bhava lord, if it is in the 159 or 311, and the 3 or 11 and the 3 or 11 in the Padaha Lord, then it is good for the longevity. We have seen the Jivakaraha, first Bhava, and first Bhava Lord. Next is the Jivakaraha. If the Jivakaraha has the combination of the planets like Jupiter, Venus, waxing moon, Mercury, Sun in the good position, without the involvement of the eighth or the Padaha, then it will be good for the longevity. The other thing that we need to see in the is the Saturn. If a person has the auspicious planet in connection with the Saturn, then the person will have a good longevity. So we should see the first Bhavala, Jivakaraha, and Saturn for the longevity. For the Jupiter, if it has if it comes as the Padha Lord, then it will also give the death. For those kind of horoscope, we should not say good longevity. If Saturn comes in the connection, then if it is if it has an auspicious lordship, then it will not give death, but it will give, so it will weaken the body and will give the characteristics of the Saturn. This is how we should predict. If the first bhava has the more inauspicious planet and the first lord is in the fourth, eighth, or the 12th house, they and in conjunction with the inauspicious planet, and Jivakaraha is also affected and the Saturn is also affected, and if the dasha of the planets are happening, then the death will happen surely. Sometimes without the involvement of the eighth bhava or lord, the death will happen. If the Lagna Lord, Jivakara, Saturn are in good position and combination, in it is good for the longevity. If not, due then it will lead to the death. The death will happen during the Dasha Bhukti or the transit of the particular inauspicious planet. So, for example, we can see a chart. For a Taurus Lagna, in the chart, let us say the Ketu is in the Lagna itself, and the Mars is aspecting the Lagna from the sixth house as the eighth aspect, and Venus is in the 12th house, and the Jupiter is in the ninth house, and has the conjunction with the Ketu, and the Saturn also has the Mars, Moon, and the um, Rahu conjunction. Here, while considering the Saturn, we should only say that he does not, while considering the Saturn, we can say that he hasn't been to death if the Saturn has the combination of Jupiter or Venus, or we can say he will escape from the death. In this horoscope, the Lagna has the combination of Ketu and Mars is aspecting the Lagna, and the Lagna Lord is in the 12th house. The Jupiter has the combination of Ketu. Saturn is in the combination of the Moon, Mars, and Rahu. Here we can say that this person does not have a good longevity. If the Ketu Dasha happens, then there is a chance of death. During the Dasha, if the transit of Ketu approaches the Jupiter or the transit Rahu approaches the Saturn, then it will lead to the death. This this we have discussed already in the basic Nadi astrology class. With that, without the involvement of the Nadi, the death will not happen. So we should give importance to the Nadi, and also if the transit Saturn or transit Jupiter should not approach towards the Rahu or Ketu in the natal chart, or the transit Rahu or Ketu should not approach the natal Saturn or Jupiter. If it happens, then there will be losses in the family, or if it is there in your chart, it will happen for yourself too. So the subject cannot be done all of a sudden or very easily. We should so we should experience ourselves in predicting the other bhavas, and then we should keep the notes of this lesson, and we should take a 10 to 100 horoscopes of the date and should predict how the death happened, how the rules worked for the person's death. Then only you will be able to predict in the other's horoscope that these lessons cannot be applied directly. We should experience and expertise ourselves in these lessons, and then only we will be able to predict in the future. Here, in this horoscope, the Ketu Dasha or Mars Bhukti or Mars Dasha Ketu Bhukti might give the death to the native. So, to decide the longevity of a person, the Lagna Lord, Jivakaraha are the essential things. The Dasha Bhukti happens from the 8th Lord, 12th, 8th or the 12th house of the Padaha Lord, then it will affect the longevity. One concept we are to explain you, we haven't explained you till now, that is the Maraha, Maraka Sthana for the each Lagna. For the movable Lagna, the second and the seventh Bhava are the Maraha, Maragadipadi. Then the fixed sign is fixed Lagna 3 and 8, and the dual Lagna it is 7 and the 11th house. These are the Maragasthanas for the each Lagna. During the Dasha Bhukti happens from the above Bhava for the individual Lagna, and if the Lagna and the Jivakaraka is weak because of the inauspicious planetary combinations, then also the birth chart, transit of the inauspicious planet in the birth chart, then if the Dasha Bhukti happens with that connection of the Padaha Lord 8, 12, then we can say that the death might happen. The death happens by the internal connection or due to the external connection. If the birth chart has the connection of the 8th, 12th or the Padaha with the Maraha and the Dasha is also happening, then the death might happen bit. So here the death might happen by the inner connection, or if the transit of Rahu Ketu comes in contact with the natal Rahu or Ketu, and if the combination with the Lagna and it has the combination with the Lagna Lord or Jivakaraka in the natal chart, and the Sabukti happens, this also will give the death. For this example horoscope, if the transit Ketu comes into the connection with the natal Ketu, then the person could be having the fear about his life. When you realize that the transit for a horoscope is very worse, and it seems to have the native, it seems to kill the native. Then in that time, if the dasha bhukti of the Marha Lord is happening, then you should say it is dangerous to the person's life, and we should not say for that the Marha dasha is always dangerous to the native. If the Lagna or the Lagna Lord or Saturn is in the combination of the inauspicious planet, then even if the Dasha Bhukti of the Padaha or the Maraha Lord is happening, then it will bring the fear of death and it will not give the death. We should remember this. We are going to go deep into the subject. We should understand the concept first. So, we should understand the concept of the concepts first, then we can apply these concepts to for any predictions. There are two things in any horoscope, that is internal combination and the internal connection and the external connection, or internal contact or external contact. What is the internal contact? These things that speak about the native are called the internal contacts, and they are Jivakaraha, Lagna, or the Lagna Lord. Here, the Lagna Lord itself is a Lagna Lord itself is a external connection. But here we consider this as a different this for a different reason, for the longevity alone. Any combination shown here, like Jivakaraha or Lagna Lord with the Saturn Ketu, Saturn Rahu, Mars Saturn, Saturn Mars, Mars Ketu or Mars Rahu, or in any inauspicious planetary combination, if either these two or any three, that like Saturn Mars Ketu or Saturn Rahu Ketu, so either two or three planets comes for a horoscope, then the Jivakaraha Lagna Lord can have the shorter lifespan. That is, we can say that these persons' lifespan will not be too long in this earth. This is the first concept we should understand. Here, instead of the Jivakaraka, we can use Sun, ninth Bhava, and ninth Lord for the father. For mother, we can use the fourth Bhava, fourth Lord, and the moon. And for the wife, we can use Venus, seventh Lord, and the seventh Bhava. And for children, the Jupiter, fifth Bhava, and the fifth Bhava. So if the Jivakaraha or the Lagna or Lagna Lord has the combinations, if these inauspicious planets like Saturn, uh, Mars, Ketu, and Rahu, and then the connection of the 8th and the 12th or the Padaha or the Maraha, then this native might die early. This is the first step. Next is the If these inauspicious planet comes in connection or combination with the Jivakaraka, Lagna or the Lagna Lord, then there should be the direct connection of the eighth Lord or Padaka or the Maraha Lord. If two of these three should be there for the death related matters. For example, if the either Jivakaraka, Lagna or Lagna Lord is in close conjunction with the eighth lord, and the dasha of the eighth lord is happening, and the eighth lord or the eighth bhava has the maraha or the padaka connection, then there is no need. They should have this inauspicious combination at all to give the death. Or the padaka lord dasha is happening, and the maraha lord is in connection with the connection, then it will lead to the death. Or the Maraha Lord Dasha is happening, and if the eighth Lord or the Padaka Lord is in connection with the Maraha Lord, then this will also lead to the death. Here is one more thing. If the 12th Bhava has the auspicious planet in connection, then this may lead to a secret life or living in the foreign place or living in jail or living in a hiding will be happening for the native and will have the disease. Here, the 8 only gives the full Padaha, and 6 will only give the disease, loan, and the litigation related issues and will separate from the relatives and live a separate life. When we are seeing for the father, instead of the Jupiter, we should see the sun. Instead of Lagna, we should use the ninth bhava. If the father has these combinations and the Dasha Bhukti happens, then it will give the death. For the father, we should consider the 8th and the 12th to the ninth bhava. Not for the Lagna, we should consider for the 8th and the 12th to the ninth bhava. Who is the Padaka for the ninth bhava here? If it is Mesha Lagna, then the Mercury is the Padaka Lord. So, if it is the Mesha Lagna, the Mercury is the Padaka Lord for the ninth bhava and not the Saturn. So, here, if the Padaka Lord is in the ninth house, we may say that the father will not be helpful to the native and will be the one who is opposing the native, which is so. Next is which is the Maraha for the Lagna. So it is the third and the seventh for are the Maraha for the Lagna. For the father, it is the seventh and the 11th bhava to the ninth bhava because the bhava indicating the father, that is the ninth bhava, is a dual sign. So here the seventh and the 11th are the marha bhava for the father. And similarly for the son, ninth bhava, ninth lord, if there is the if it has the 8th, 12th Padaha or Maraha connection, then it will also affect the father. These are all the internal connections. What are all the external connections? If the above inauspicious planets are in combination from the 8th or the 12th or the Marha or the Padaha connection, then the Dasha Bhukti is also happening. And if the Lagna is weak, then if the Dasha happens from the 8th or the 12th house, or if the Maraha or the Padaha both in connection with the 8th and the 12th house, and if the Maraha has the 8th and the 12th or the Padaha connection and the Dasha is happening, then there might be loss of life. Here, this may happen due to either the Dasha Bhukti or the transit. Here, the external connection is the Dasha Bhukti and transit. Now, for some of you might have the doubt, when will the death happen? How will the death happen? For how, we can see an example. So, the Lagna has the combination of Saturn, and the Saturn itself is in the Padaha. Let the Saturn itself be the Padaha Lord. And the Lagna has Saturn plus Marha combination also. And if the Saturn Dasha or the Marhala Dasha is happening, then this this Dasha, which is it to the Maraha, so if the Maraha Bhava, which Bhava it is to the uh, Kalapurusha, or then the death will happen based on that Kalapurusha Bhava, or which planet or Bhava is ready to give the Maraha. Then that planet based disease or the parts will be giving the death. Some clients might have a doubt how the death will be for them. If you say that the death that your death will be very peaceful in bed while sleeping, then they will be happy. But if you say your death will be tragic or horrible, then he will not be happy and be peaceful throughout the life. That is why no one will predict regarding the longevity or the death. So we can discuss the few of the rules here. If the eighth lord has the auspicious planet combination, then the death will be easy and peaceful. If the planet giving the death has good lordship, and if it is the natural benefic, then the death will be peaceful without pain. If the malefic planet like Ketu, Rahu, Mars, and Saturn, and the malefic bhava like Padaha, Maraha are in connection, or these will give the death and the death will be horrible. And also might die due to the disease or being in the hospital for some days with pain and agony. For suicide, there will be the influence of the Saturn, Ketu, and Moon. With the Saturn or Ketu, some will have Rahu in connection also, and also the Padaha connection with the Moon, Saturn, Ketu, or Moon, Ketu, or Saturn, Rahu. We should also see the Mandi for the case of the suicide. So not only this, we should also consider the Mandi for the suicide. And for the murder, the Mars Rahu or Mars plus eighth lord, or Rahu plus eighth lord, or Mars plus Padaka lord, or Rahu plus Padaka lord are the major combinations. If the eighth is in the is involved, then only it will be the murder. If the eighth is involved, then only we can say that it is a murder. For the eighth lord, if it should be in the house of the Mars or the eighth to the Kalapurusha, then only we can say it is a murder. So, so far we have seen about the longevity and the death related things. How a death might happen for a person and what are all the things we should consider for the predicting the longevity of the person. So these things and all we have seen. So in general, we should not always look for the death or the longevity of the person. So we should not predict them in the early age also. So whenever the time comes, they will approach for us regarding the longevity, and during that time we should say, if we say in the beginning itself, then their life will be uh, they will not have an interest towards the life. That is why most of the astrologers do not predict the longevity for anyone. If anyone asks, we will say that the longevity is good for the person. And also here we should not whenever there is an indication in the transit dasha bhukti and the prasana, then only you should go for the prediction of the longevity, and you should not predict only based on the self horoscope, but it should also indicate in the family horoscope also. If there is the indications in all of these, then only you should say about the longevity of a person. So, so far we have seen the rules and the things to be used to predict the longevity of the person. Thank you for watching the video. We will see you in the next video.